Secrets from the Eternity. A fictional and horror illustrated podcast series created by NRiGG. Chapter 1. Ravens and Other Nocturnal Creatures. It was a night in 1975 in Los Angeles City, an urban labyrinth where the glitter of Hollywood coexisted with dark alleys full of crime and mystery. Sandra Piamonte, a woman of stunning beauty and features evoking a distinguished European lineage, was about to leave a gloomy old residence when the subtle sound of footsteps approaching the main entrance caught her attention. With instinctive caution, his grey-green eyes watched as a yellow envelope was slid under the imposing wooden gate. Lifting the envelope, she visualized an unmistakable red wax seal marked with the letter B, which belonged to The Bunker, a secret intelligence organization. Inside was a sheet of paper containing a text written in an ancient and extinct language, which Sandra understood perfectly. The Bunker had given her the difficult task of infiltrating the criminal empire of Mickey the Raven Malone, a mobster whose influence ran like poison through the arteries of Los Angeles. Through meticulous undercover operations, the Bunker had managed to intercept telephone conversations between Mickey and various Italian magnates. These revealed that on Saturday, December 18th, a meeting would be held at La Panamericana, an exclusive nightclub owned by Mickey. In this place, power-hungry politicians and wealthy businessmen with fortunes of questionable origin intertwined with the criminal underworld, and secrets became their favorite bargaining chip. That night would be the starting curtain for the dangerous mission of Sandra, a spy for hire who worked for the most powerful governments in the world, but who day after day and night after night carried an eternal ancestral curse: to be dead in life. The entrance to La Panamericana was adorned with dim neon lights that gave a bluish glow to the atmosphere. Jazz music, charged with passion and melancholy, enveloped the attendees like a soft blanket of sound. In the crowd, men in suits and women in dazzling dresses moved to the rhythm of the tunes, their laughter and conversation creating a constant murmur. It was on that stage that Sandra made her entrance. Her red dress, made of delicate and shiny fabric, hugged her figure in an elegant way. Every step she took left a trail of whispers and stolen glances. The dress glowed with a radiance all its own, almost as if each strand was imbued with the essence of centuries of life. The lights of the place played with the reflection of her jewelry, while her perfume, an exotic and ancient mix, enveloped those who were nearby. Although there were many beauties in the room, Sandra stood out. Mickey, from his reserved table in an elevated corner of the club, was quick to notice her. His gaze, always sharp and scrutinizing, settled on Sandra almost instantly. He had seen and met many women in his life, but few, if any, with Sandra's aura. Their eyes met, and for an instant, everything else faded away. There was a spark, an inexplicable connection, as if greater forces were drawing them together.
Seems to me like we haven't met before. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
Mickey inquired with a hoarse voice.
Sandra Piamonte. This is the first time I visit this gorgeous place.
Sandra responded with a smile that seemed to hide centuries of secrets. Mickey, intrigued, replied,
Welcome to La Panamericana. We will have a spectacular night. Although, if you allow me, I must warn you something. This is a risky place for beautiful but unaccompanied women.
Sandra, without missing a beat, replied,
You don't need to worry. I have seen more than you can imagine.
Mickey, used to being in control of every situation, found Sandra an intriguing challenge.
That's what everyone says at first, but I assure you again, this club is not suitable for emotionally delicate or physically fragile people, much less for keeping secrets.
I thank you for the welcome. My fiancé is about to arrive.
Sandra said in a polite but decisive tone. After that exchange of words full of mystery, Mickey, with an elegant and deliberate gesture, returned to his table, where the group of partners and Italian magnates were waiting for him impatiently. But he couldn't get Sandra out of his mind. As he talked and negotiated with his partners, his gaze constantly returned to where Sandra was, like a magnet. However, in one of those quick glances, he realized that she was no longer in the bar area. He tried to track her through the crowd, but she seemed to have evaporated into thin air.
Who are you, Sandra? Should I trust you?
He wondered, before shaking the idea from her head. Meanwhile, Sandra had noticed the unwanted attention of two drunken men. Her lascivious looks and contemptuous gestures did not escape her. She decided to leave the club before the situation got complicated. As she left, however, the two men followed her into a dark alley. Their mocking laughter and clumsy footsteps echoed in the stillness of the night.
Where are you going so fast, you beautiful woman?
One of them said to her, trying to hold her arm. Sandra, with great skill and unusually superhuman agility, turned to them with an icy smile. The men's eyes met hers, which now glowed a deep crimson hue. Before they could comprehend what was happening, Sandra was behind the larger one, her sharp fangs sinking into his neck. The other, in shock, tried to flee, but with inhuman speed, Sandra stepped in his way and held him tightly, flashing her penetrating eyes at him and hypnotizing him.
You should be more careful when you follow a lady in a dark alley.
She whispered in the man's ear before feeding on him as well. Once she was done, she left them lying in a desolate alley, their bodies pale and lifeless. Wiping her mouth elegantly, Sandra blended into the shadows, disappearing into the depths of the night. After lengthy debates and discussions with his members, Mickey saw an opportunity during a short break and left the club in search of fresh air. He headed for the back door leading to the courtyard and, from there, to the alley. Without being fully aware of it, deep inside he harbored the hope of running into Sandra in the cold, dark outside. Leaving the club, Mickey spotted a disturbing sight in the dark alley. A pair of shoes emerging from a crimson-hued lake. With each step he took toward the scene, the terrifying sight unfolded more clearly. This was blood, emanating from two limp bodies resting on the pavement. The cold air of the alley hit Mickey's face. Looking at the two men, he noticed bite marks on their necks and an extreme pallor on their faces. He was no stranger to stories of nocturnal creatures that fed on the living, but he had never thought that such legends could have an ounce of truth. Wasting no time, Mickey radioed his head of security, Leonardo Rossi Barbieri.
Rossi, come to the alley immediately.
As he awaited a response from the other side, he stood motionless, engrossed in the hypnotic spectacle of the streetlights whose lights cast ethereal shadows that danced in a silent ritual around him. The atmosphere gradually thickened, as if the air was permeated with centuries-old secrets, and the muted alleyway intensified the silence, making it almost oppressive. It was then that a familiar and captivating scent hit her senses, the unmistakable perfume of the enigmatic woman in the red dress.
Sandra Piamonte.
Secrets from the Eternity. A fictional and horror illustrated podcast series created by NRiGG. In the next chapter, Sandra continues with her spy mission in La Panamericana, finding something completely unexpected, and Mickey the Raven Malone begins to build his ambitious plans to expand his power throughout California. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode.